What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back for another Four Corners, the first Four Corners of this year's NBA season, courtesy of Osmo.com. Because this is the first Four Corners of the NBA season, your support is needed now more than ever, so please hit that like button, and also comment your favorite play of tonight's slate down below. I'm also taking any feedback you have, because again, the format's going to be a little bit different from what you're used to in last year's NBA season, as well as the MLB season, so give me your thoughts down below in the comments, and please, again, do hit that like button. Let's kick it off with our first corner in this first Four Corners video of the NBA season and started off with the top owned plays, and the first guy to hit on is Ish Smith in a matchup at Dallas, which there are 106 implied points for Washington. Ish is expected to have 32% ownership on DraftKings, while he'll have 37% on FanDuel. Smith is at a reasonable price as Washington's starting point guard, and there should be some usage and minutes to go around with no Isaiah Thomas, but there are some concerns with Ish generating just 0.84 fantasy points per minute, and Bradley Beal an exceedingly ball-dominant player. Our next top owned player is going to be Donovan Mitchell in a matchup with Oklahoma City, in which there are 115.3 implied points for Utah. Mitchell is expected to have 26% ownership on DraftKings, while he'll have 29% on FanDuel. Mitchell posted a 32% usage rate in 2018, and he stands to see improvement to his game, as well as potentially more time with the ball in his hands in a pace-up spot going against the Oklahoma City team, whose wing defense likely isn't great with the changes they've made. And in that same game, we have another top-owned play in Danilo Gallinari at Utah in a game in which there are 106.3 implied points for Oklahoma City. Gallo gets 26% expected ownership on DraftKings, while he'll have 30% expected ownership on FanDuel. Gallo looks solid in his new home in the preseason with upwards of 1.4 fantasy points per minute. He stands to have a lot of usage against the Utah team, who remains solid inside, but should have some flaws defending wings with the Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic duo. For our next corner, let's take a look at the top value plays and kick it off with Al Horford in a matchup versus Boston, in which there are 109.5 implied points for Philadelphia. Horford faces his old team, who should be significantly weaker inside with his departure, and he should see minutes as the power forward as well as the backup center without Joel Embiid at reasonable prices industry-wide, and the ability to contribute in every stat category. Next up in the top value plays, we have Ricky Rubio in a matchup versus Sacramento, in which there are 116.5 implied points for Phoenix. Rubio should see more time with the ball than in Utah, as well as more assist opportunity with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, both skilled targets, who will take usage off the table, but also should benefit heavily from Rubio's 32% assist rate in a high-paced matchup. And another top value guy who interests me is Maxi Kleber in a matchup with Washington, in which there are 114 implied points for Dallas. Kleber will see extra time at center with Dwight Powell out in a pace-up spot where the majority of usage will go to Luka and Kristaps Porzingis, but Kleber should be able to stretch the floor and pick up some peripheral stats in that process. And now onto our next corner, the game stacks that appeal the most to me, and let's start off with Washington at Dallas in that game in which there are 220 combined points. Both teams should play with pace this year, and while tough price points for Luka, Bradley Beal, and Porzingis should drive down ownership, Luka and Beal combined for 115 fantasy points in their last battle in March, and the defenses for both sides are primed to offer big games all around. Another game stack that appeals to me is Sacramento at Phoenix in a game in which there are 234 combined points. The prices are mostly tough for the starters in this game, with players like Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, and value like Dwayne Dedmon and Ricky Rubio. There are ways to capture the value in what should be the fastest paced game of the night. And another game stack that appeals to me is Minnesota at Brooklyn in a game in which there are 228.5 combined points. Karl Anthony Towns is the most expensive player on the slate, but peripheral pieces like Robert Covington, Jeff Teague, Taurean Prince, and the impossible to trust Andrew Wiggins are relatively cheap and could have upside in a game that appears evenly matched overall. And now into the dart throw plays on the slate, and let's start off with Markieff Morris at Indiana in a game in which there are 101.8 implied points for Detroit. Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson will get the biggest benefit from Blake Griffin's absence, but Morris will pick up the start at near minimum prices with a serviceable 0.88 fantasy points per minute last season, despite an injury-riddled and ineffective year. I'm also liking a low-owned Dwayne Dedmon at Phoenix in a game in which there are 117.5 implied points for Sacramento. Dedmon averaged over 1.2 fantasy points per minute in the preseason, up from 1.1 fantasy points per minute last year, and he faces a pace-filled Phoenix team who's even less deep inside this year and allowed 47 rebounds per game last season. And I'm not sure this is a good sign, but I've got another Morris twin and Marcus Morris at San Antonio in this one, in which there are 102.3 implied points for the Knicks. Morris scored at least 29.75 fantasy points in all three of his preseason games with 11 plus shot attempts, and he seems to see more time at small forward than the crowded power forward spot for the Knicks. And our last start throw of the day is going to be Robert Covington in a matchup at Brooklyn, in which there are 112.8 implied points for Minnesota. Covington was the starting power forward in the preseason, a situation that allowed him to snag 19 and 11 rebounds on his last two games, while also putting up at least 5 3-point attempts, and both could pay off in an expected high-scoring game. So there you have it. That's what I'm seeing so far for tonight's 11-game NBA slate. So right now, please hit that like button, and also comment which guy you think is going to be the best value on the slate down below. And of course, hit me with any feedback you have. If there's another corner you'd like to see, maybe top studs, think that could be a better one than game stacks, but let me know what you're thinking after you hit that like button in the comments down below. We've got a lot of new premium features, including live blogs and videos from Osmo, and you can get all of that with this promo code SWITCH and HEDGE for half off your first month of Osmo Plus. Again, we have a ton of new premium premium content this year, a lot of which coming from the top DFS player in the world, Alex Osmo Baker. Also, a lot of great stuff in our Express packages, which are as low as $3.95 a week. So check out the different options for you at osmo.com/join. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I've got 7 days a week of content, and you know what? That means even more coming out for the NBA. So it's going to be a lot of exhaustion for me, but a lot of quality information for you. So check out what I'm doing on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. The plan right now is to have the Four Corners 5 days a week in addition to my NFL content, so keep your eyes peeled here on the channel. Of course, chime in with any feedback down below and hit that like button. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another Four Corners. So thank you guys for watching, and good luck.